It was just past 7 in the evening when Jake Thompson, a 34-year-old delivery driver in a quiet suburb of Ohio, decided to take his usual route down Maple Street. The sun had just dipped below the horizon, leaving long shadows that stretched across the worn sidewalks. Jake had driven this route hundreds of times before, but tonight felt different. Something in the air hinted at change, a tension he couldn't quite place. Earlier that day, his manager had given him an unusually large stack of packages. "Be careful with these," she said, her tone unusually serious. Jake shrugged it off, thinking it was just a busy night. But as he started his rounds, he noticed a figure standing near the corner of Pine Avenue. The person seemed out of place, too still, too deliberate in their stance. At first, Jake tried to ignore him. After all, Maple Street wasn't a dangerous area, and most of the residents were neighbors he had seen for years. Yet the figure didn't move, didn't wave, didn't even shift slightly as Jake's truck passed. He felt a shiver crawl down his spine, but he told himself he was imagining things. By the time he reached house number 42, he had delivered all but 3 packages. As he placed the 3rd package on the porch, he glanced up, and froze. The stranger was there again, now closer, standing just beyond the lamppost. The dim light cast a half shadow across his face, making it impossible to see any features clearly. Jake's heart rate quickened. He had been on the streets late at night before, dealing with sketchy neighborhoods and strange calls, but this was different. He felt watched, studied, as if the person was waiting for something, or someone. He hurried back to his truck and locked the doors, telling himself to stay calm. Maybe it was just a neighbor out for an evening walk, he reasoned. But as he started the engine, his eyes caught movement in the rearview mirror. The stranger was walking toward his truck, slowly, deliberately. Panic rose, and Jake pressed the accelerator harder. He rounded the corner, hoping to lose the figure in the maze of suburban streets, but the stranger matched his pace, walking with an eerie calm, as if he knew exactly where Jake would turn next. By the time Jake reached the next street, he realized he couldn't just drive away. He needed to confront whatever this was, or at least figure out what the stranger wanted. He parked near a small diner that stayed open late, hoping the light and people inside would give him some safety. The stranger stopped a few feet away, raising a hand in what Jake initially thought was a wave, but it wasn't friendly. Jake felt a sudden urge to escape, but something about the stranger's stance kept him frozen. He studied him carefully. Mid-30s, average build, wearing a hoodie that obscured most of his face, but the eyes, those dark, unblinking eyes, felt like they penetrated into Jake's very thoughts. Finally, the stranger spoke. Jake Thompson. His voice was calm, measured, almost monotone. Jake's throat went dry. "Yes. Who are you?" "I've been waiting for you," the stranger said, taking a step closer. "You don't know me, but I know you. And now, you have a choice." Jake's mind raced. Was this a prank? A mugging? He reached for his phone, but the stranger raised a hand. "Not yet. Listen." The stranger explained that he had been following Jake for weeks, observing his deliveries, his routines, his habits. He claimed there was something Jake had unknowingly transported, something dangerous, something that could change everything. Jake tried to laugh it off, but the words felt hollow in his own ears. The stranger handed him a small envelope, no more than an inch thick. Inside, Jake found photographs of parcels he had delivered earlier that day. And in some of those packages, there were items he didn't recognize, items that seemed innocuous but carried subtle marks he had never noticed. "You have something," the stranger said. "Something that doesn't belong in the hands of ordinary people. And now, someone is coming for it. If you don't act, it will be too late." Jake's mind was spinning. He had always prided himself on being careful, on knowing his route in the neighborhoods like the back of his hand. But this was something else entirely. Who was coming for it? He asked, trying to mask the shaking in his voice. The stranger smiled faintly, a cold, calculated smile. "You'll find out soon enough. But you can still make a choice. Keep it, or let it go. If you keep it, you take responsibility for what's coming. If you let it go," his voice trailed, and he gestured toward the darkened streets beyond the diner, filled with long shadows and the distant hum of cars. Jake had never felt more alone, more aware of the fragile line between safety and danger. Every instinct screamed at him to flee, yet some part of him, a mix of curiosity and stubbornness, urged him to understand. He thought about his family at home, his younger sister who trusted him, his aging parents who relied on his steady paycheck. Could he endanger them without even knowing what he was carrying? In that moment, he made his choice. Jake reached into the envelope, feeling the weight of decisions that weren't entirely his own. Every photograph, every item, seemed to whisper secrets he wasn't prepared for, yet couldn't ignore. Suddenly, headlights cut through the diner's window. A car slowed at the intersection. Jake's heart skipped. The stranger nodded toward it. "They're here," he said simply. "Now you understand." Before Jake could react, the stranger vanished, melting into the shadows of Maple Street. Panic surged as he watched the approaching car, realizing the night he had taken for routine had turned into a test of survival, courage, and choice. Every delivery, every familiar turn, every streetlight now carried a sense of danger he had never known. And in the back of his mind, one question lingered: had he made the right decision, or was he already too late? The car stopped, and the engine cut. Two figures stepped out, moving deliberately, silently, like predators that had smelled their prey. Jake's pulse raced. He gripped the envelope tightly, feeling its weight, its power, its peril. The first figure approached, calm, measured, eyes locked on him. "Jake Thompson," the voice was eerily similar to the stranger's. "You have something that doesn't belong to you." Jake took a deep breath, knowing there was no turning back now. Every choice, every action, every step from here on out mattered. He was no longer just a delivery driver on Maple Street. He was the keeper of something dangerous, something that could change lives. And tonight, he would have to decide what kind of person he truly was. As the night deepened and the shadows grew longer, Jake realized that ordinary life, the routine, the safety, the comfort, was gone. There was only the choice, the unknown, and the courage to face it. And in that moment, with his heart pounding and the dark street stretching endlessly before him, he understood that some nights changed everything. Some nights, you didn't just deliver packages. You delivered destiny.